This podcast is produced by the Fireside Chat Club of Canada.
Part of the beauty of living in Canada, with the mosaic of cultures living here, is experiencing how each brings what they celebrate, or how they interpret Christmas in their own way.
Hello, and welcome to Canada as I See It.
My background on both maternal and paternal sides is British. That meant boiled potatoes, boiled carrots, boiled Brussels sprouts. You get the idea. Dad, he was used to it. He was a first-generation born Canadian. Both his parents were born around London in the UK. Mom, on the other hand, was sixth-generation Canadian, and a lot of the family grew up in southern Ontario, relatively close to the U.S. border. So what I and my siblings experienced is a mix of boiled with an American golden turkey on the table, likely overcooked, a la Christmas Vacation. Sorry, Mom. And that's on the table with lots of stuffing and gravy. Well, many potluck dinners later, with many different types of food. Ironic thing here about one of the origin stories. 16th century England is where potluck comes from, the luck being, well, whatever was in the pot. Although, well, the potluck dinners that we experienced were likely descended from the 19th century American dish sharing gatherings where everyone brought a pot of something. Okay, where was I? Oh, yes. Many potluck dinners and new family gatherings later, I've experienced many different types of food, or even variations of what we had before. Did you know that you could grill Brussels sprouts, Mom? My mother-in-law has got this 60-something person to eat something that was not on my plate for over 50 years. She is of German background and has introduced things like red cabbage, sauerkraut, and potato roasty to my palate. Actually, roasty is a Swiss dish, but being from Germany, many dishes of the region would really not have cared about borders. Funny thing about Swiss and Switzerland. My mother-in-law and I, we share a joke about the ending of The Sound of Music. The part where the Von Trapp family hikes over the Alps from Salzburg to Switzerland. Yeah, geography doesn't work that way. A 19-hour hike over the mountains would have likely landed them in Kitzbühel. That would have been right in the middle of Nazi Germany. It would take another 53 hours of walking before they hit the closest point in Switzerland. Well, truth is, they actually took a train from Austria to Italy in the daylight. Not after the nighttime concert where they sang Edelweiss. Speaking of Sound of Music, that's actually another Christmas tradition. For some reason, there's more Christmas references in Die Hard, but really, it's a nice family movie for this time of year. Let's see, another Christmas movie? Wizard of Oz. For the younger listeners out there, Wizard of Oz is the sequel, filmed in 1939, to Wicked. Backing up a bit, Die Hard, yes, and that is another Christmas movie. I grew up watching traditional ones, White Christmas, where Bing Crosby tap danced with Danny Kaye. It's a Wonderful Life, but a tradition that has made its way into our Christmas lives is Christmas Vacation. 'Tis the season to be merry. Here's a Canadian connection. Did you know that the perennial television favorite, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, that stop-motion Christmas cartoon, made in 1964, the best year ever, was voiced by an almost entirely Canadian group of people? Let's see, there's Billy May Richards. She was the voice of Rudolph. That was, in fact, her first credit. Paul Soles was Hermie the Elf. Larry D. Mann was Yukon Cornelius. Janice Orenstein was Clarice, Rudolph's love interest. It's beginning to sound like a Hallmark movie. Bernard Cowan was Bumble, the abominable snow monster. Peg Dixon was Mrs. Claus, and Carl Banas, who I got to know and worked with for several years when I first got into radio back in the 80s. He was the head elf. All of those people, well, with the exception of Bernard from Winnipeg and Peg from Vancouver, were born in Toronto. When I was a kid, I hear the people out there. When I was younger, December 25th was the day. Us kids woke up much too early for our parents and couldn't wait to get to the presents. We were actually pretty good about it. We didn't race downstairs and attack them. No, we kept to our beds, mostly due to a story that is 1,700 years old. Legend has it that in the 3rd or possibly early 4th century, St. Nicholas was staying with a poor family where the father was planning on selling his 3 daughters into prostitution in order to save them from starving. Knowing that the father would not accept charity, St. Nicholas threw 3 bags of gold into the girl's bedroom one evening. One of them landed in a stocking. The next morning, the gold was discovered, and the girls were saved from their sad fate. Another version of the story actually has him leaving the stockings over the fireplace with the gold in them. Well, we were the stockings by the bed family, and it made sense when I got older. If we were entranced by the gifts that we found by our feet, then my parents got to sleep in a little more, because Dad had likely been up late into the night piecing our tricycles or other larger toys together. Now, what was in those stockings? Well, that's a British thing. Yes, we got an orange in the toe, followed by some mixed nuts, which we had to get Mom and Dad to open for us because they didn't want us crushing our fingers with that nut opener thingy. Not the nutcracker, not the tall guys those little metal things. Yeah, they didn't want us hurting ourselves. Then there might have been a couple of little toys, but that was it. Now that I'm an adult, okay, I can still hear you there. Christmas is actually more of a season, although admittedly not as celebratory as it once was. Mom passed away on December 17th in 2014, and Dad's birthday was on December 20th, and he passed away in 2008. So I really find myself doing a lot of missing and reminiscing at this time of year. The season is definitely long, though. I have to plan ahead so that parcels can be received by my kids and grandkids in far off locations. Well, then there's the part where our place turns into a factory as Caroline continues to make greeting cards and treats for her Christmas bazaar show circuit. Actually, you can check out. I hope you do. Check out what she has to offer by clicking the links at my website, warpole.ca. That's WHORPOLE.ca. Her links are on the right side of the page. Just scroll down a bit and you'll see a little bear and a cake. And click on those. And if you can't make it to one of your shows, you can actually contact her directly through her Instagram, which is where those links lead, and let her know what you'd like. Please give it a shot. And then, as I alluded to there's the baking. We're fortunate enough to have a very large, what I call walk-out freezer on our balcony. And that's actually where a lot of her and her mother's international creations are stored. Speaking of her mother, on Christmas Eve, we head over to her mother and father's place. Fortunately, a 5-minute walk away. And there we celebrate an intimate meal, gift giving, and celebration of the season with, well, of course, Mitch Miller and his carolers on vinyl. That's actually where the different cultures come in now. It is actually a grand mixture of European and North American traditions. One thing that has been happening lately is that I've been able to introduce the annual watching of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation into that Christmas Eve routine, which, well, being silly and a little over the edge with innuendo and language is something that even my mother-in-law now is admitting to liking. That's kind of neat because this movie was also my mother's favorite one of the season. Now we come to Christmas Day, and, Caroline and I have our own tradition of doing this as little as possible. Maybe, small gifts, a light breakfast, and then we head over to her brother's place in the afternoon for dinner and a celebration with our niece and nephew. And, well, that's fortunately, again, very close. Only a 10-minute drive away. Next up, Boxing Day. That is a UK and adopted Canadian tradition. Beginning in the 17th century in Great Britain, it's defined as the day after Christmas, where servants were given the day off by their employers to spend time with their families, as they would have been serving their masters on Christmas Day. They'd be given a box to take home, and that would contain gifts, bonuses, and perhaps even leftover food. Today, in most Commonwealth countries, it's a holiday of varying levels. Here in Ontario, it's what's called a statutory holiday, a paid day off. So, kind of following that box of gifts tradition, but in a broader sense, I suppose. In other countries, it may also be known as St. Stephen's Day, or the Feast of St. Stephen, commemorating the first Christian martyr. Now, speaking of feasts, Boxing Day is also the day that everyone down here in Toronto, the 5-minute walk and the 10-minute drive away, we had 90 minutes up the road to meet with what turns into a collection of about 20 people enjoying the season and eating entirely too much. I've learned to always wear my stretchy pants on that day. This is actually a newer tradition for us, but one that we happily embrace as it brings a lot of family together. Well, the rest of the week is spent mostly recuperating. Uh, we don't do the former tradition of going all out to finding a party to head to celebrate the arbitrary setting of a new year. Yeah, we're past that now. No energy. We sometimes have a friend or two come over and just sit and watch a movie, and maybe Dick Clark's Rockin' Eve with Ryan Seacrest, or something like that to mark the passage. Years ago, actually, Mom and Dad used to let us have, like when we were teenagers, a New Year's party where everyone was invited, all of our friends. I think they were just glad they knew where we were. And the song you hear at midnight, Auld Lang Syne. Well, that's not Canadian. But the version that we usually hear is played by a Canadian artist. Beginning in 1929, Guy Lombardo and his Royal Canadians performed it for decades, until around 1977. But the legend lives on. The introduction to Lombardo's 1947 Decca Records version is played still in Times Square every New Year's, immediately following the dropping of that big ball. So that's our set of Christmas traditions. Yours might be similar or drastically different. Let me know. Please drop me a line at asiseeit@warpole.ca. It doesn't even have to be about Christmas. It is called the holiday season for a reason. Now, here is a short list, though. I'm not going to try to name them all because I'm sure I will miss something. However, let's see, we do have Hanukkah. That's the Jewish festival of lights, and that's observed by Jewish communities with menorah lightings and traditions. We have Kwanzaa, cultural holiday celebrating African heritage, and that's observed from December 26th to January 1st. There's the winter solstice, which, if you look at your calendars, that's December 21st. It's actually recognized by many indigenous communities with ancient rituals and celebrations. And the thing about December 21st is that from now on, the days will continue to get longer. More sunlight. Yay! Yay! Let's see, we have Las Posadas. That's a traditional Mexican candlelight procession. It's held actually leading up to Christmas. And then actually into, quote, our New Year, we have the Chinese New Year. Well, I told you, I probably missed a few there. Let me know if there is a holiday, a festival, an event that you celebrate that you'd like to tell me about. Do it, please. I mentioned the address just a minute ago and will again very shortly. Thanks go to my daughter, Elizabeth, for introducing the show this week. I'm actually going to take a couple of weeks off now to enjoy all of these traditions that I just told you about. I'll be back on January 4th with more Canadian facts and observations. If you have any questions or comments about the show, or if you'd like to introduce the show like Elizabeth did this week, please send me a recording of you saying, "This podcast is produced by the Fireside Chat Club of Canada," and the email address to send all of that to is asiseeit@warpole.ca. If you'd like to contribute to my efforts to produce the show, please click on the yellow Buy Me a Coffee icon in the upper right corner of my website, warpole.ca, And for the last time this year, here we go, WHORPOLE.ca. Thank you for listening, everyone. Have yourselves a wonderful couple of weeks, and I'll be back in the new year.